Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Welcome to the Sunday chat. So the Saga, which had no name, now has a name. It was the Cat Saga, which I will now go over. I got to a point where I thought, something's telling me I shouldn't be having this cat, because everything kept going wrong. Well, the Saga started with the bit that I told you about, which was actually sticking my name down for Dolly the cat, and I showed the pictures of the cat on the website. That didn't go anywhere, and basically the cat went into reserved. I contacted them and they said, well, as soon as we go down the list of names in the order they arrived, and as soon as we hit a match, we contact that person. If they say they're interested, that's the end of it. So they don't even look at the rest of the list, even though there might have been better matches. They just stop. They've got a lot to do looking after the animals without the admin side of stuff, so I can sort of see the point. Anyway, so that cat was out. I also then said to them, is it okay to apply or show your interest in many cats? And they said, yeah, that's fine. So I decided to be a bit more selective and look at where the centres are. And there's one just up the road in Southampton. That would have taken me about, well, it's the other side of Southampton, about 40 minutes to get to. There's one in Exeter. Quite a long way, but I mean Burnham's is quite a way past Exeter, and that's a 2.5 minus sometimes, 2 1/4, 2 hours 20 minutes. So that would have been less than 2 hours away, and roads I know well. And the other one was Burford, which is out to the west of Oxford, north and west actually, and it's quite a way out west of Oxford. So basically I applied for cats in all three of those centres. The Exeter one has hardly any cats basically. Nothing came of, there was nothing to sort of select on there. I selected 3 or 4 from Southampton and a couple from the Burford one. And they contacted me and said that I was a suitable match for Nello. And they said, did I wish to proceed? I said yes. And then they explained the beginning of the saga. So first of all, Nello was still living with his owners at the time. They hadn't been his owners for too long, so that they'd actually taken him from the rehoming centre. Basically, in this year, basically, he was spayed as a 5.5-year-old cat. That's leaving it a bit late. That's best done kitten stage really, very young, but it was done. Then the homing centre found out that he hadn't had his vaccinations, so that had to be done. He had to have his first set of vaccinations. Then they found out he hadn't been microchipped, so he had to be microchipped. Of course he got microchipped with his current owners at the time, because they still had him at home. So anyway, arrangements were made for him to turn up last Saturday. This is not the one just gone, the one before. I did give a hint that that was a seriously problematic day, and boy was it. So the owners were going to bring him into the homing centre late Saturday morning, which would have given the rehoming centre time to sort the chip out and transfer the chip into their name. It has to go through them before it can come out the other end. So, and I arranged to be there for 1:30. Now, at that time, the A31 was closed because of the forest fire, the New Forest fire, which has been a main news item for 2 weeks, basically. So, one of the alternative routes was up to Fordingbridge, bit stop-go, because you've basically turned the main through road through the forest, a dual carriageway, onto little A roads. That never works. It's just the volume of traffic just can't get going. So I looked at that, and then the guidance was to come off onto a little forest road and make your way back round to junction 1 of the M27, which was open heading east, which is where I wanted to go. And I looked at that and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. Having got to Fordingbridge, it's just up the road to Salisbury, and then there's a diagonal across towards Oxford. So I decided to do that. Salisbury, just as well have been a car park, they could have charged. Just everything was just stationary. Again, it's holiday season, it was fine weather, so you've got people from miles around are all heading to the beaches in this area. You've got people going on holiday down to the south and out to the west, Devon and Cornwall and the like. So Salisbury's just a bottleneck, there's too many roads leading in. So anyway, it took me a long time to get through Salisbury, and on one of the big roundabouts where these roads come together, they've got roadworks just up one of them with traffic lights, which backs up and blocks the roundabout, along with the previous roundabout with the retail centre, which blocks the tailback from people trying to park. So it was a nightmare trying to get through Salisbury, and that's going up. Normally the nightmares are coming down. So anyway, I finally got going. The road wasn't that good. I'm also travelling on roads I don't use. In some cases I've never heard of. I eventually got across to the A34, which is the main road north from this area, and picked up my little diagonal to get across to Burford. Well, the road goes to Witney, and then you get on a decent road to go along to Burford. And that part of the journey went well. I got there early. I left in so much earliness that I was over an hour and a half early, that early. So I went in a pub and had some lunch. I thought I'm going to treat myself and have a meal and a sit down after what was a horrendous journey. So we had our lunch, went over to the rehoming centre. As soon as you walk in the door, are you Roger? Are you here for Nello? Yes, so expected, all sounds good. Help yourself to a coffee. Toilets are through there, which I did in reverse order. I've been sat in the car. It's over 3 hours that took me. 3 hours, 10 minutes to get there. Anyway, the lady came through. She said, the owners haven't turned up with Nello yet. I'm just trying to contact them to see where they are, how far out they are. So 15 odd minutes later, the lady came in with quite a sort of dejected type face, and she said, the owners have got the date wrong, they're not coming. So I had a wasted journey. A bad journey and wasted. A lot of fuel. Treated myself to a lunch, which I should, and come home, no cat. I just had to turn around and come back. And I thought, I'm not doing that journey in reverse. I'm going to take the bull by the horns, go down the A34, join the M3, and then do the last bit of the detour down that forest road. So the problem was the A34 M3 junction is major roadworks. It's a 5-year plan of roadworks to really fix that junction and make it work. It's extensive, it really is. And it forms a hell of a tailback, and I thought, blow it. I'd rather sit in that one tailback than lots and lots of hassles with the way I came. So I went back that way, got to the A34 M3 junction, straight through, no hold-ups. Got down to junction 2 of the M27, because going westbound back to where I live, they closed it a junction earlier, because if you got to the next junction there wasn't really a way to sort yourselves out. So I came off at junction 2, and instead of following the advisory route down to the A35, which meant going through Lyndhurst, basically I took the little road that runs parallel with the motorway down to junction 1 and got on the forest road to come back in at Fordingbridge. 25 minutes to do 2 miles because of some horses sat on the side of the road. So over 3 hours to get home again. Totally exhausted and wasted. Totally wasted journey. So they apologised. I said, there's no need for you to apologise, it wasn't your fault. You know, basically the owners had made arrangements. Apparently they got the date wrong. So anyway, it was arranged for this Saturday, just gone. The owners would bring Nello in, and I said, I'm going to have to dig my heels in. I'm not leaving home until you've got him. She said, well, what we'll do then is we'll make arrangements for the owners to bring him in, and we'll keep him overnight, and that'll give us a chance to sort his chip out, give him a last minute health check and everything, and contact you and make arrangements for you to come up on a subsequent day, which is what we did. So I got the notification that Nello was safely installed at the rehoming centre on Saturday afternoon, and basically, could I make arrangements to come up? Could I do 12:30 on Sunday? I contacted them and said, yes, I can do 12:30 on Sunday. And lo and behold, first thing, the A31 through the forest was reopened. So I thought, oh, great, I can just go up, you know, get on the A31, head up to the M27, M3, A34, on my way. No hassles. So away I went, thinking this is going to be a nice journey. Google Maps had the journey at 2 hours 10 minutes with no traffic, not 3+. So anyway, I set off. A31 had one slow point where there was there was still some stuff left on the side of the road from what had been going on, putting the fire out and making all the repairs, that people were slowing down to have a look at. The other side was like a car park, because basically they still had a lane closed. So I'm thinking, yeah, and that's my way home, that lot. So anyway, we onto the M3, and there's a yellow sign on the side of the road on the motorway on the M3 that said junction 9 closed, next left for Winchester. Well, junction 9 doesn't mean anything to me. I go by road numbers, yeah, as you've heard me say many times. So junction 9 didn't mean anything to me, and I certainly didn't want to go to Winchester. I don't want to drive into a city, do I? So I carried on. Junction 9 is the M3 A34 junction. They closed it over the weekend to put the new bridges in. So I'm stuck on the M3 and can't get off. I thought, alright, we'll take the next left then. The next left was Basingstoke. I had a 45-mile detour, because when I got to Basingstoke, all the signs just said Ring Road, City Centre. For quite a long time, Basingstoke's quite a bit in from the motorway, but luckily it's heading north from the motorway, which is the direction I needed to go. So anyway, I eventually found a big roundabout with lots of signs on, and one of them said Newbury, and Newbury is on the A34. So I thought, right, well, we'll do that then, and we took that road. Very scenic, but not a quick road. Got back on the A34, headed up, got on the diagonal across to Burford, no problem, and basically I arrived 10 minutes early. So most of my contingency that I'd allowed for that journey was lost because of that motorway junction being shut. So anyway, I got there, and of course Nello's out in the cattery, you know, so I had to go out there to meet him, and he came over and said hello. And it's a two-stage one. There's an outside bit and an inside bit with a cat flap between the two, but there's no access for humans between the two. So he's in the outside bit. So we went in through the lockable gate and said hello, and gave him some treats which I had in my shirt pocket, which he gobbled up. And then the lady said, right, well, if we go back into the office now, we can get the paperwork done, and then I'll come out and get Nello and put him in your cat crate for you and bring him over to you. So we went and did the paperwork and everything, The thing is with that type of thing is most of the paperwork I didn't need or even want, but you've got to have it. And of course it has to be held up and explained to you. I could just read it when I get home, but no, so it was a bit tedious, but nonetheless it had to be done. Quite a lot of signatures, and they looked very similar. It's the trouble, when you sign your name, you just do it, don't you? But if you've then got to sign it again, especially if it's on the same document, you sort of think, oh blimey, I'd better make this one look the same as the previous one. Then you start concentrating on it, and then you get it wrong. You know, it doesn't quite look like the previous one. Anyway, we got all the paperwork done, and I said to them on the desk in there, I said, I've just had a bad journey with the A34 M3 junction closed. I need a different way home. And basically I thought, well, if I've come this far west to Burford, I need to get down to Salisbury. Because with the A31 open, that jam up down on that road, down to Ringwood, you know, where I sort of set off to my last little bit to get home, that's clear. So I thought, I need to get across to Salisbury. There's got to be a way across. So I said, could you just, you know, the turning for the homing centre is just before the main roundabout in Burford, where the big pub was where I had my lunch. And there's a left turn. Obviously that's heading south-ish, which is the direction I want to go. But I hadn't taken any, because I hadn't gone to that, I'd only been to that roundabout once to have lunch and come back again. So I didn't see where that went. So I said, can you have a look and see where that road goes and see if I can get back down my way from there. And the lady had a look, she printed off a map showing where that road goes, and basically it went to Lechlade and then on to Swindon. I thought, well, I lived in Swindon for 8 years, I know that area like the back of my hand. All I got to do is take this road down to Lechlade, which was 8 miles. I didn't realise I was that far over. Anyway, Lechlade can be a bit of a traffic issue, especially on a Sunday, because it's the last navigable point of the River Thames for longboats. Because after that, there's nowhere to turn round. So, so nobody goes past Lechlade. There's a big pool where everybody can turn round. And people line the bridge and watch the boats and sit on the grass and everything. Sit on the brown. So anyway, I got through Lechlade okay, and then came into Swindon via Highworth again. I know those roads. Got onto the Swindon bypass, didn't need to go into Swindon. Again, I know that. And then down to Marlborough, down to Salisbury, and home. So the journey back, I left at 1:30. I got back here at 4:45. On, you know, on a route that I had no intention using, but it worked well. So thanks to those who sorted that out for me. I got back here. Hannah suggested that when I let Pussycats out of the crate, because the name Nello is now gone, he left that at the homing centre. It's still on his chip, unfortunately. That can't be removed. You can't change the cat's name, but you can change the owner's name, which is what happens. So the chip will be changed into my name. They'll tell me when it's done, but the company that they use, one of the big ones apparently, doesn't work at weekends, so they said they'll get it done on, you know, from today, and they'll let me know when it's done. But I've got the chip number and everything on the documentation that I got given. So Pussycats, Hannah suggested that when I let him out of the crate, I let him out of the crate right next to his litter tray. So that's the first thing he sees, and he knows where it is. That's quite important. He's a big cat. That would be big messes if they were on the carpet. And he has used it, so he knows where it is, he knows what it's for, and that's good news. He has a game. He played it once or twice yesterday evening. Today he's played it quite a few times, and it's called Racing Up and Down the Stairs at Breakneck Speed. Noisy little tyke. So he likes running up and down the stairs. Well, it can do no harm. And he's enjoying it. He's not playing with any of his toys in the lounge here, not at the moment. Anyway, last night I decided to stay down here with him so that he had company and helped settle him in and everything. So I just sat on the settee and, well, I curled up on the settee, and he did sleep on his on the end of the sofa, which is where his towel is. That's his place where I'd like him to think he can sleep. And he's had a couple of dozes there this morning as well, so he has taken to it. But he also likes to snooze up on the landing. But I think we might have if we have a sunny day today, if I have to disturb him I will, but I'd like to get him down and get him to go on his on the end of the sofa on his towel when I open the blinds and let the sun in, so that he knows it's a sunny spot, obviously only on sunny days, and when I remember to open the blind and he's down here. He's had plenty of food. He's got new types of biscuits, because the biscuits he was being given are not very nutritious. They're the cheaper end of the market. So I got him some much better quality biscuits. I didn't know whether he'd take to them or not, but he's eaten quite a few of those. And he certainly had. I've got the same food as he has been fed by his previous owners, so that there was no change in his main wet food. But he will have a change probably every third day. I've got again a much better quality wet food sort of thing. I'm hoping to do that like every third meal, something like that, just to give him a better quality of food. Yeah, so he seems to have settled in. He's still wandering round the extremities. He's not sniffing everything anymore. He's settling down. What he needs now is a routine, which I've got no reason to go out of the house this week. I got shopping coming on Wednesday, so I don't need to go out to get shopping. My eggs, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 days worth of eggs left from the little shop. But if I add eggs onto my home delivery shop, I have no reason to go out this week. That way I can just be around. He can get used to the routine, you know, me going to bed. Not tonight, I'm going to stay down with him again tonight. But tomorrow night I will probably go up to bed and leave the bedroom door open and see if he'll follow me up. He may or may not, I don't know. Mojo always used to follow me up and curl up sort of next to me on the bed, but that doesn't mean to say Pussycats will, so that'll be an experiment to wait and see. But I will need to get back to bed tomorrow night, because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, a very tiring day, and I probably won't get a huge amount of sleep tonight either if I'm staying downstairs again. But what I did notice last night, it was fucking cold. Hence the jumper in the middle of summer, because obviously it chilled right down. It's 16 degrees in here at the moment, so it's chilled right down outside and inside. We're just having a little, I'll say cold snap because it's relative. It isn't that cold, it's probably 19, 20 outside, and when the sun gets round it'll probably get up to 22, 23, which is not bad summer temperatures for this country. We've just been used to a lot more, haven't we? So anyway, I've put my jumper on this morning, but yeah, he's settling in nicely, and he's a lovely friendly cat. He's found a different way to get up on my worktop, so that he's settled down on the end there several times while I've been working on my laptop. So, and he has a fuss, seems to like that. But instead of jumping on the chair and up there, that's why the chair was put there for Mojo to get up there, because he couldn't jump that high, he's old. But yeah, he's getting up between the sound bar and the TV and walking up that way, and then going back down that way. So again, he can't do any harm. You know, there is a gap there big enough for him. So he's found a way of getting up there, and that may well mean I'm seriously thinking now of putting that chair up in Hannah's bedroom so that it's gone, it's not needed anymore, and getting his cat tree away from that area over there and putting it where the chair was, which means there's nothing he can jump on from the top except my work table when I'm sat at the laptop. And then maybe he'll use it as a way to get up on there, as well as his new way that he found. Mojo never thought of that way. So he's here, we have a cat, he's 6 years old. He wasn't 6 years old when I first saw him on the website. He's become 6 years old because this has all taken so flipping long. Because after saying I was interested, it was quite a while before I was contacted to make the first appointment, which was a miserable failure. But at least yesterday's trip was successful, despite that very ridiculous detour. It must be one of the longest sections of motorway in the country with no exits. Yeah, so the last exit that I went past that I could have used was one of the Winchester exits, and the next one is Basingstoke. It's halfway to London. And in the wrong direction. I was heading east. I needed to be heading north, and I couldn't hang a left to get north till I got to blinking Basingstoke. So it's done now, it's done. And we can forget all the journeys and everything. I will send an email back to the team to say thanks for organising everything for me, because the girl Stacey who dealt with me, who's the one I've been emailing, she said give us an update. She took a picture. They do a chalkboard for reception for anybody who's leaving the rehoming centre on that day, and they do a chalkboard with you know, the cat or the dog's name. I don't think they do the horses in reception. Or I don't know. And she said, do you mind if I take a photo for our social media? And I said, no, help yourself. So the towel came off and everything, so you could see Nello looking out of his crate next to his chalkboard. I presume that goes on Facebook, I'm not sure. Because the trouble is, when people say social media, I mean, that could be Instagram, you know. There's several other options bar Facebook. I think personally Facebook's losing its appeal. I can't put my finger on why, but I have a problem because on my personal Facebook page, not the Orchid one, my personal one, I've joined quite a few groups, bird groups and butterfly groups and local groups. And when I switch over into one of those groups, what would be my reason for going to a butterfly group? Would it be to read the comments on the previous entries, or would it be to see the new posts with the pretty pictures? So the default is most relevant, some algorithm generated cobblers that puts the stuff up in the order they think you might want, and it's based on comments, words. And I don't go on any of those groups for the words, I go through all of them for the pictures. So every single one I have to change the default from most relevant to newest, so that what wasn't there the day before is the first things I look at, the new stuff. So that's annoying me. And my Orchid Facebook group that I set up for you people, so that you can leave pictures and chat amongst yourselves sort of thing, which you can't do on YouTube to any great extent. You certainly can't leave pictures on YouTube. That's been messed up because basically I go into a page and then switch over into the group, which is where your posts are, yeah? And that's where I can authorise any new posts. Not that I get many nowadays, but I said I think Facebook's losing its popularity. But the faff, it's geared up to the app on a phone. It's not geared up to laptops and other devices. So basically I get onto the page, I've got a link to the group, so I click on that and get into the group, authorise a post, I've got to come back out to the page, I've got to refresh it, and then I've got to switch back into the group and refresh that before I can do a thumbs up. And when I did a thumbs up, it used to put my name on there. It doesn't do that anymore. That's on a different button that you press that drops down the list of people who've done a thumbs up, basically, a like. And my name's at the bottom of the list because I was first. So it's just a faff. It's just a faff. I mean, I'll keep it going. As long as people post stuff on there, it's no bother for me to just pop over there first thing in the morning and see if there are any posts. I don't look at old ones. I don't read the comments. I haven't got time. But any new posts get checked and then posted and the like. Then on to something else sort of thing. So that's that. Right. In the news, our squeaky shiny new Prime Minister, who hasn't even got all the wrapping off yet, is in Ukraine today. Something to do, I think it's their National Flag Day or something. And there's some other European leaders have gone as well to celebrate. And he's also gone over there to make an absolute face-to-face commitment of the UK supporting Ukraine in its endeavours to get its freedom back and kick out the invaders. Whether that can ever actually fully be achieved or not, I doubt. But they can certainly keep them back and keep kicking them back. And they're getting some of their own now, and that's part of the commitment that our guy's gone over there, is the Storm Shadow missiles. I think that was a collaboration between France and the UK. It's our equivalent of the cruise missiles that the States use, that America uses. But what Ukraine desperately need are the Patriot interceptors to bring down the ballistic missiles. They're pretty good at knocking the drones out of the sky. They intercept an awful lot of those, but they haven't got the the stuff to bring down the ballistic missiles. They're the ones that do the big damage. They can take out an apartment block, and I mean they come straight down out of the sky, and none of this sort of whoopsie and fly along for a bit. They just go up and over and down. But they're making a lot of their own stuff, and Mr. Trump, bless his cotton socks, who changes his mind faster than people change their underpants, basically said that he would give the technology to Ukraine so that they can build their own Patriot missiles, because that's what they're short of. No doubt Israel have got a lot, probably supplied by America. They've got lots, but Ukraine have, running very short of interceptor missiles. So in one breath he says he's going to give them the technology, and then in the next breath he said, well, it's quite difficult to hand that technology over. He chops and changes his mind like underpants. But we're going to give him the technology for our Storm Shadow, we've agreed with France. That gives him, not undetectable, but very, very difficult to stop, long-range missiles. Ukraine are already doing pretty good at knocking out oil refineries, various things like that. Apparently, again, according to social media, whether you can believe it or not, I don't know, but apparently lots of Russians are leaving Crimea because they're getting fed up with not having any fuel, not getting any supplies, and getting bombed, basically, because Ukraine are, giving some back. That's why they didn't take out the bridge, the famous bridge between Crimea and another piece of land. I forget where it actually goes. But anyway, that's why Ukraine didn't take that bridge out, which they could easily have done. Easily have done. They could have got at that from under the sea, on top of the sea, and from the air. They'd have got that bridge down by hook or by crook. But then there would be no way to escape Crimea. So that was left, so that there was an escape route, basically. And apparently it's being used. So they've had enough. The wind's getting up out there. Breezy. They said it would be warmer than yesterday and breezy along the south coast, which is me. So breezy it is. Yes, so that's the big story. the war that was going to be stopped in a week at the beginning of a certain term. That was a major success, obviously. By stopping the war, it meant that you stop what you're doing, you stop what you're doing, everybody stays where there is, and we shake hands. You can't stop a war like that with those two parties and the circumstances just by, you know, saying behave yourselves, all will be well. Very naive view. Anyway, so, well, we didn't do very well there, so we'll give up. We'll go somewhere else and start another one that we can finish in a couple of weeks. How long's that one been going on now? It's not finished. Mr. Success. But that particular encounter is costing the world economy a lot of money. I mean, it's costing our farmers, they've had to put up with the weather we've had this summer, and although they couldn't have used it as much as they would have liked to because of the weather, the cost of fertiliser has gone through the roof, because that's something I didn't know. Most of it comes from that region and comes out through the Straits of what's name, whatever it is. Straits of Hummus, I keep wanting to call it. That's a food, isn't it? Well, sort of. Looks like mush to me. Can you pick it, dig it up, or kill it? Well, it's not proper food then, is it? Yes, so yeah, that's still ongoing. It's not a main news item here in the UK anymore. It's just saying the same thing over and over again. Talks have started, and the other side says, no they haven't. And then somebody says, we're starting talks tomorrow. You said they'd already started yesterday. And it's just going around in circles. Makes me wonder whether each side actually knows what their own team are actually doing, you know. But you have to bear in mind that the country they are dealing with have no interest in making friends with any of the West. It's not in their makeup. They have no interest whatsoever. They do not like us, polite version. So you can understand why they should not have a nuclear weapon. That bit I do agree with. I don't believe anybody should have them, but that day ain't going to come, is it? Makes me laugh. The States stop everybody in the Middle East having nuclear weapons. Israel have got them. Why were they allowed to have them? Still, the military power they've got, they probably never need to use one. I often wonder sometimes, because nuclear weapon testing is virtually stopped. If somebody did fire one, I wonder if it would actually work. Or whether it would be like a dud. You know, when you get in at firework night where those rockets go whoosh, and nothing happens. I wonder if it would be like that. Not really a joking matter, is it? But there we go. Right, well I'm doing this now. Pussycat shows great interest in here, and he's now realised if he sits on the end of my workbench, you can see the bird feeders, which he's fascinated with. He's enjoying watching the birds, so that's a little bit of entertainment for him. But he does sit down on that mat looking out here quite a bit, so he's interested in getting out here. He's not coming out here. Being a jumper, there's just too much damage he can do up here. He can jump onto a shelf and pull the whole shelf over, you know. So he's not coming out here. He can come through here at whatever point we get to that I trust him to come out in the garden, which is not going to be for some time because he is a jumper. He's proved that. But he's sort of stopped doing it now. I think it was the curiosity. You know what they say about cats and curiosity. And I think now that he's checked everything out, or everything he can get at, he's quite happy sort of on the floor. And I mean, I put his cat tree there so that he could use it to get up on the sofa, but he just jumps up on the sofa. He's only got up on that cat tree once, and that was to get on top of the fridge freezer, or on top of the freezer. It's not a fridge freezer. And I shooed him straight off of there and told him off. Same as he's jumped up on the kitchen counter a couple of times. He hasn't done it today. It's basically as soon as he gets up there, I grab hold of him and put him down and give him a little scold. No! Because he's used to soft words, you know, when you speak to your pets. So a harsh word registers that, you know, suddenly you're not Mr. Popular anymore. What did I just do? Trouble is with cats, they've got very short-term memory, and you have to go careful scolding cats after the event, because they don't know what they've been scolded for. Because they're only interested in what is now and what's coming soon. They have no interest in what was. So you're getting punished for something. They say, well, what did I do? What did I do? So you've got to go careful with that. And you shouldn't smack cats, that's out of order. You can give a dog a good whelp across the backside. Have you ever tried, you'll hurt your hand basically if you smack a dog. They're just hardy types, aren't they? But not so much cats. And cats, I believe, can hold a grudge as well. So it's probably not the best thing to do. I haven't seen him sharpening his claws much yet. He did sharpen his claws on this mat just inside the conservatory a couple of times. But I see what they said. They said about him not being a lap cat, but he's happy to curl up near you. So when I sit down in my comfy chair, he curls up by my feet. So I'm hoping to change that. I'm hoping that, you know, like when he's up on the sofa, I can call him across and he'll just do like Mojo did, walk across the two arms onto my lap and settle down there. But he may never do that, I don't know, but we shall see. Anyway, so that's the cat saga. The saga has finished, that has ceased to be. He's here now, and he seems to be settling in quite quickly. A lot of that is because I think he's had attention from his previous, well, he must have had at least 2 owners if his last owners were relatively new, because they took him from the rehoming centre and then realised that the old boy apparently is 80 something, and he kept tripping over the cat and he's had several bad falls, so they decided we can't keep the cat. It's dangerous to our health, sort of thing, being a pretty elderly couple with the sounds of it, and possibly a little infirm, which is what some of us get as we get older. So he came back to the rehoming centre, but actually getting him back there proved not quite as straightforward as it could have been. So cheers for that, but it's done now. Yeah, I mean at the moment he's asleep up on the landing, which is why I thought if I get out here now, because he hasn't seen me open this door yet, because I'd have to stop him coming out here, because he'd probably try and follow me. He does follow me around a bit, you know, when I'm coming and going, making coffees and stuff, so getting me breakfast and things. So yes, it does sound like that he will be under my feet at times, so I can understand, you know, tripping over the cat sort of thing. Yes. Yeah, so that's done. I'm tired. You know, that drive yesterday, and quite honestly, when they went to fetch those cats to bring him back so that I could leave with him and everything after all the paperwork and everything, I was actually quite nervous. I thought I haven't had a new cat that I don't know for 18 years, you know. Because I know Mojo was nearly 22, but I hadn't had him all that time. You know, as I say, that Elvis and Mojo were Hannah's cats for the first few years. And I took them on when she moved into a place that she couldn't have cats. So I had them that long. But yeah, so yeah, a little adventure that's done now. And it will be nice when I go out to come back and have a bit of a welcome rather than a quiet, well, silent, empty house. So it overrode the grief of Mojo going was great. And I thought, I don't want that again. It's not nice. I just, you know, so that was my decision. I'm not having any more cats. Then I don't have to go through that. But then it got overridden by not having a cat and the place being silent all the time. You know, and like you say, you come back to an empty, quiet house sort of thing. So that eventually overrode, and I thought, well, let's get another cat sorted out then, which we've done. And yeah, he's a big cat compared with the previous two. I mean, Elvis was a stocky cat, but he wasn't a big cat. This one is a big cat. I haven't picked him up as such yet, but I've picked him up to take him off the kitchen counter. But I haven't picked him up to hold him yet. I'd rather he got totally settled in and into a routine and everything, rather than do that. So I don't know whether he can be handled. One of the other cats I chose, because the previous Saturday, the failed attempt at picking up, well, what was Nello at the time, the lady sat down with the laptop and went through all of the cats they've got. She even phoned up the Southampton Centre to see if there was a cat suitable that I could pick up on the way home. So they really did their best to help. But most of the cats at Southampton that were in the homing centre that I could pick up, not with foster people or anything, were kittens, and I didn't want a kitten. And there was a very suitable cat, lovely looking cat, semi-long hair, grey with a white front and white feet, very lovely looking cat, smashing cat. And she said he's got no history. He's come in to us from a stray, and so far nobody's managed to handle him. I said, nah, it sounds like a lot of work. So no. Yeah, I mean, one of Hannah's cats was part feral. Its mum was feral, but tolerated coming into somebody's house and had the kittens there and then abandoned them. So that was one of Hannah's, so half feral. Yeah, it never really settled. It was never really, you couldn't pick it up. It would hiss and spit at you and get the claws out. So it never really settled into a nice pet. It's a lovely looking cat, but it did not get fat as well. And being a shaggy cat, when they get fat as well, and then the fluff bits, so, you know, they're about wider than they are long. But yeah, he's gone now, so she. So, there we go. The cat is sorted. Thanks for all your comments, welcoming the new pusscats. Appreciated. I'm surprised. I've got a feeling one, maybe two people possibly twigged what was going on in the background that I just called a saga, with no more details than there's a saga going on. I think one or two people possibly had an inkling what was going on, but I wanted to wait till it had actually happened for real so that I could talk about it, rather than talk about what nearly happened the previous weekend. So that's why I left it vague. So it's done now. This coffee's nearly cold, which means this has been going on a very long time, which it has, so I shall leave it at that. There have been no new members on the Patreon site or the YouTube memberships, but no change is good for me because that means nobody else has left, so it's stayed the same. My subscriber numbers are creeping up slowly but surely. They don't move very much on the other channel, but you know, again, a few now and again is good. But then I don't post much on the other channel. It's not very often I do anything. We shall see. But I did see the gobby bloke and his better half. Any half would be better than him. But they were getting out of the car as I arrived back yesterday with pusscats. So I had a chat and I said, my daughter and I are trying to take the bamboo down. It would be an awful lot easier to do it from your side. Would that be okay to bring the steps round and hack at it from over the fence? And they said, yeah, help yourself, get on with it. I said, quite honestly, getting it down to near the top of the fence is to everybody's benefit, basically. It'll stop hanging over into your, into your property. Well, not theirs, but So yeah, they were happy with that. So that's great, because it means we will get it done now, because Hannah was having real trouble. Well, the heat beat us back last time, but she did so much, and she said, I've got a job to reach it now, Dad. She's not very good on the steps, and yeah, we just ended up running out of time because the heat just made it unworkable out there. But that heat's gone now, so next time Hannah comes down, if I haven't already had a go at it, we should be able to get that bamboo down. That will be good. It's not going to be good from my point of view, because it means, like if I'm out watering the garden, which I often do in my dressing gown, I'm in full view of those flats, because that bamboo there was my privacy, and it'll be gone. But the maintenance of it has become beyond what we can keep up with, so you have to weigh one up against the other. So I mean, lots of people, their gardens overlooked by other places. If you live on a housing estate, you know, everybody overlooks everybody. You just have to put up with it. You know, my mum's place was overlooked by several houses next door on both sides, and the properties over there, you know. So yeah, so you know, it's just something I have to put up with. And my privacy for when I go and have a sit in the sun is still maintained because the shed's in the way. So the only people that can look into the garden are the direct neighbours next door, which probably going to change in the not too distant future. Their house is shown as under offer, so they've still yet to exchange contracts, which is the commitment basically. So that hasn't actually happened yet, but once the contracts are exchanged, it means they're signed, therefore a completion date has been agreed at that point, and it's normally within a few weeks of contracts being exchanged. So yeah, so but it hasn't happened yet, so we shall see. That could still all fall through, but the fact that they've decided they are on the move, at some point it will happen and I'll have new neighbours, so be it. It's funny, I didn't fancy the change of neighbours last time, but I thought there's no way I can have worse neighbours than the ones I've already got, because they became a real pain. So I was glad to see the back of them, and these have been great, you know. So we shall see what we get, but you don't get to choose, so be it. But I mean, I was talking to Hannah about this. I said, you know, the fact that this shed bit out the front, I could do without that. It'd be much nicer to have your own bit. But I said, you know, the security gates, meaning that I can leave the car unlocked basically, you know, you can't get in and out of the gates without the security stuff. So it's a pretty safe place for the car, all that sort of stuff. And then I said, and I fell lucky with the property. I got a north-facing conservatory, good size, an enclosed back garden that's not too big, bigger than what I had at my mum's place, but not too much bigger, probably a third as big again. But you know, some nice sort of shrubs and trees, and you know, it had the basic structure to be able to make something of it, and I had an interest in doing that. Yeah, and then you know, just fell lucky really. 3 bedrooms. I only need 2, but that 3rd bedroom, you know, that became the music room that sits there collecting dust, and probably always will. I haven't got any inkling to get in there and do stuff. Not at the moment. There's too much else going on. And when there isn't anything else going on, I'm normally tired from the things that are going on, if you see what I mean. And I do like to relax as part of the afternoon and the evenings, you know. I mean, some people will say, well, why don't you get up there in the evening? All you're doing is sat down watching telly. Enjoy sitting down watching telly in the evenings, you know. So yeah, the music room collects dust at the moment. Right, I'm going to call it a day. Thanks to my members, thanks to my viewers, you good people, for being here and watching the videos. And I'm glad you've all thought the cat was a good idea. Well, it's here now, whether you think it's a good idea or not. And it's funny actually, when I saw his pictures on the website, until I saw him for real, I thought he was just a tabby cat with white bits. He's not, strictly speaking, a tabby cat. His markings are more sweeping than the normal tabby markings. He's got quite unusual markings. But, yes, in the flesh he's a lot better looking cat than he looked in his pictures on the website, which you didn't get to see because I didn't want to give it away. So there we go, that's done. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for remembering to do the thumbs up. That's your reminder. And if you're not subscribed, it'd be nice if you did so. It's just a tick box, don't cost you anything. Just a moment of your time, and it helps the channel. It helps YouTube see it as great. Oh, I know what I've completely forgotten, the affiliate thing that I was talking about. Well, because I joined the program on YouTube, people out there now know that I've done it. And I'm starting to get emails about ideas, you know. One of them sounded absolutely brilliant. And I went and had a look at the website, and it's basically a product base. So it's a bit like a mini version of Amazon. Lots of different types of products with, you know, you've got like a selector page like tech, and then you go in there and there's like TVs, headphones, speaker systems, that sort of stuff. Or you click on makeup and it's got all the junk in there. Paint your face with. Yeah, that always, whenever I think of makeup, I always think of a very old black and white Tarzan film where Jane gets a little thing out with a little mirror and starts doing the makeup. Tarzan goes, "Jane not fight with Tarzan, not need war paint." Tickled me. Yeah. I still remember it as well. But yeah, it looked good until I started trying to find reviews and actually see how it would sort of operate. And I found quite a few YouTubers that are using it, and their videos are getting like 50 views, 70 views, 110 views. They're not big channels, they're little channels. So it's not much of a review. And then I actually found out that the company closed down in 2022, but it's still there. So, and then I started finding a few reviews, and several people said that they thought it was a scam of some sort. So, but it did offer free postage and packing to anywhere in the world. So obviously the prices of the goods would be grossly inflated, wouldn't they? You can't do that otherwise. You know, try posting something from the States to the UK, you'll find out, or vice versa. So yeah, the only cheap postage is China to anywhere. Anyway, so I'm getting offers. I haven't taken any up yet, but you have to stop and think. I've got to recommend products. I don't believe I have to purchase them. But I'd have to show a picture of them at least, so I'd have to get a picture from somewhere. That could have copyright issues, but yeah, things that I could recommend. I set auto tagging on, it's found nothing to tag, so it hasn't found a product anywhere. It hasn't looked very hard. I have showed you things that I've bought, but my problem is that the basic principle is that when I buy stuff, anybody else that uses the link to buy the same thing, I get a percentage. Well, if the thing costs 20 quid, how many people are going to have to go to that site and buy it to make it worthwhile? So I'm not going to break my neck to get all this going. However, if I can set it up to sort of some reputable affiliate sites, I mean like Amazon for instance, if I can get that organised, I've got nothing to lose by doing it. So that's how I'm going to leave it. But I haven't done a lot of work on it yet. I've been sorting out cats, which took priority over it. That's taken priority over the orchids, quite honestly. My cymbidium should have been watered Saturday. It's now Monday, they're not getting done today, they'll get done tomorrow, and quite honestly it doesn't matter if they wait. They've got big fat pseudobulbs to live off of. And the 3 that got repotted, that got split up and repotted, they're supposed to be putting roots out to search for said water and feed. They do get watered and fed, but not frequently, so they are hopefully searching and getting on with it. The new growths on them are pushing on, so they're managing to get something from somewhere. But we haven't long looked at the Cymbidium collection. That's where that plant went. I lost a plant when we did the back to basics for the Oncidiums. I put one down, and when I put them all back I couldn't find it. It's tucked in between 3 giant Cymbidiums. I've just seen it through the gap, so at least I know where it is now. Yeah, so the back to basics, I've done 2. I did the Phalaenopsis, now I've done the so-called warmer Oncidium types and into generics. I've done that, so I've done 2. There aren't a lot left to do. I've got the Dendrobiums to do. I haven't got anything like the numbers I used to have, but I have got some, so that will be a group. We've got the Masdevallias as a group. I'd include the Draculas and Restrepias within that group, I think. Just call them the cooler growers. The Miltoniopsis I can probably do separately. So we've got quite a few genera to actually do a back to basics type video, an info gathering type video. So I will do them, but I don't want them all squashed up together, so there'll be quite a big bat. But looking at the number of views I get on, they're very popular. So the first Phalaenopsis one will be the most popular by far, for obvious reasons. Anybody who's got one orchid sat on a windowsill, chances are 99% of those one orchids will be Phalaenopsis store-bought. So yeah, they are popular. And I think a lot of people who get stuck with one like that, perhaps as a gift, they're frightened to death of it because it's an orchid, they don't know what to do, and they're worried. And if that can be simplified for them, then they might get brave enough to go and buy another one. And that's it. Meow. The slippery slope. Oh, there was a joke about that. Oh, my grandfather was getting very... No, this is a joke, I haven't got a grandfather. The grandfather was getting really ill. And somebody said we should rub Vaseline on his back. But since then he's been going downhill really fast. Funny little things that tickle me. That's it. I'm going to call it a day. A day, there you go. And I will see you in the next video. What the hell it's going to be, I don't know. Chances are I won't do one tomorrow because this is supposed to be my day off and it isn't because of the Saga again. So I probably will take tomorrow off from filming. We shall see. Well, Pusscat's either hasn't seen me out here or he is still upstairs on the landing. I mean, it is pretty early in the day, it's 10:30, so I'll be posting this relatively early. So, yeah, so thanks for being here, thanks for the support, it's appreciated, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.